I would like to purposefully and properly apologize for whatever slander I may have put on Kusakabe's name. I was not familiar with his game, and I must personally say one thing. I was wrong. What's up, guys? Elephants here, and here we are to do a breakdown / quick review of chapter 254 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as the Decisive Battle in the Uninhabited Demon Places Shinjuku Part 24. And ladies and gentlemen, we got a hefty, defty little chunk to talk about, but oh, so little time. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a... Gosh darn it! Why do you always do this? You always hide from me. You can't hide from me. Pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, the camera's kind of tilted weird. I don't like that. But another fun fact, we got 4 sections, 5 minutes each. I'm about to put the timer on. If you don't know what the sections are, plot, character, scaling, future. Let's go. 5 minutes, start now. Plot, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in fugue state. I have no way to really tell you anything other than that. We've been in fugue state. We're going to be in fugue state. I hope you love the smell of the fumes of fugue state, because this is all we're really getting. Once again, if we're talking on the macro scale, nothing has happened. Like, legitimately, nothing has happened. And nothing has happened realistically. If we're talking about, like, simply fighting Sukuna, have we moved on from that plot point? Nothing has happened for, like, the past 30 chapters. Like, legit, nothing has gone down. But if we're talking on a micro level, once again, we are down, well, down questionably, depending on how you interpret it, we are down another fighter who could do damage to Sukuna. With Kusakabe being laid out here very, very cleanly at the end of the chapter, I mean, I don't think he's cooked, as in, I think he's no more. I think he did just take, like, a big chunk of damage, but this looks like it could be healed. It doesn't look like Sukuna did, like, I'm not going to say he didn't do a good enough job, but he kind of didn't do a good enough job of, like, quad-secting? No. Quad is 4, so I guess, like, quad-secting Kusakabe. Like, these just look like slashes that admittedly tore into a deep part of his chest, but didn't, like, tear all the way through. They weren't clean. They didn't go straight through. So there's a very high likelihood that Kusakabe's alive. So he's down for the count right now, but so is Yuta. And so, seemingly enough, this entire chapter, so is Yuji. And so is Maki. So is... This was like everybody. Like, legit, we've kind of just been going down, 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 and down. And, of course, well, that kind of doesn't surprise anybody, because no one, not even the biggest Kusakabe glaziers out there, really believed that Kusakabe was going to pull out some next-level, generational, Super Saiyan 12 run on Sukuna and, like, beat him himself. It is still unfortunate. We are down another fighter. However, of course, the other major plot progression is... Not only were we being saved, which is very, very important. If they had lost him, who knows what would happen. But also the reintroduction of Miguel. Now, notably, on a plot level, it's still minor in a macro sense. Because, once again, Uwe being alive doesn't change anything. It means he's still going to play the teleporting role as long as they can keep him out of Sukuna's range. And in Miguel being here, it's a continuation of the cycle. The cycle of new fighter gets introduced, they do something that catches Sukuna off guard, and then they're going to do something crazy, revealing a next level of their technique. Go absolutely buku bakus on Sukuna for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then Sukuna's going to off-screen them. To be fair, he on-screened Yuji, Rika, and Yuta. And Rika technically she didn't really get screened. Like, she got cut up a little bit, but she immediately healed and just dipped with Yuta. So to be fair, and also Maki technically didn't get off-screened either, because, once again, she's just chilling in the building right now, presumably healing or being healed. I don't know what's up with Maki. But Miguel being here is a big thing in a macro sense, because we haven't seen this character since pre-Culling Games. And I mean that as in, like, it was a slight cameo of pre-Culling Games material when they were talking with Tengen and explaining that the rest of the Black Rope is gone. Other than that, we actually haven't seen Miguel since Zero, as, like, an actual present character on our side of the narrative. So Miguel, he's here. Fantastic. Open doesn't necessarily mean too much, though. As much as this end of chapter, I believe even the editor was hyping up Miguel as the man who went toe-to-toe with Satoru Gojo. Miguel joins the battle? ? Exclamation point. I have faith. I hope he cooks. And hey, notably, while the movie does expand massively, I'm kind of leaning into a scaling thing, though. Do I save that? No, I'll save that. I'll use this last minute to talk about the plot of JJK right now, and whether or not it is a good thing, a bad thing, or a neutral thing that we're in a fugue state. I still think we're good. I think we're good because of the chapters and how they're being written. Notably, it'd be one thing if we were in a fugue state and getting nothing from either Sukuna or the characters who are fighting in this fugue state. But I think this chapter especially goes to show the purpose and the beauty of this kind of cyclical nature of the story right now, where everyone gets to show out, everyone gets their own brand of respect or interaction from Sukuna, and Sukuna gets to show a new aspect of himself or confirm a new aspect of himself. And that's what this chapter state is in on a plot state, and of course, once again, there's no major macro details that we're going to be tackling, but at the same time, we cannot tackle macro details until Sukuna's overcome. And I think no one believes Sukuna is going to be overcome by Kusakabe, or Miguel, or Maki, or Yuta, or anybody really. So I think it's okay. It makes sense. I feel like people would be more mad if Sukuna just randomly got defeated, which I wouldn't blame people for. So I'm fine with the plot as it is right now. Though I can perfectly understand why some people are finding it boring, because we've been here for a little bit. But I'm going to make a more in-depth video talking about whether or not Sukuna has become boring, if the cycles become boring, and all this stuff like that. That's for a much more longer, complicated topic, and I'm out of time for plot. So let's talk about character. Now, you're looking at a guy who really didn't like Kusakabe. Like, wasn't in my top 15 favorite characters. He's now in my top 10. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, notably, once again, this chapter doesn't necessarily do much for Sukuna, who's usually been the one who's getting a lot of character exploration. Like, ironically enough, despite being a Maki chapter last chapter, it really was Sukuna showing off his, like, pride in Jujutsu. Meanwhile, this chapter is entirely Kusakabe focused, Kusakabe centered, and explaining his mentality, his reasoning for fighting, why he doesn't like it, but why he's willing to do it, and highlighting not only his mastery of Jujutsu, his insane abilities, his high levels of attack potency, his speed, all the stuff like that, things that you would never go to Kusakabe for, at least initially. It also highlights his character. He literally has this whole introspective retrospective where he's wondering, why in the world is he fighting so hard? Why is he putting up the battle? Why is he doing everything he could? But he's realizing that all the connections he's made, even in this cursed, twisted, negative, deeply steeped world of agony, pain, suffering, where kids, whole kids, like not a single one of our heavy hitters, except for maybe Hikari, is an 18-year-old, a whole bunch of kids are throwing their lives away trying to stop this monster. And to see Kusakabe, a man who all three of the people who are praising him separately, calling him a kind man, calling him a kind guy, all acknowledge, yeah, he's not the kind of guy who would do something like this, but he's someone you can rely on. He's someone who feels like he still has a role to play. He's someone who feels like he's there to act as the backbone, the bolster, the support, something to help, not necessarily just foster the next generation, but protect them. He shows care for other characters, care for people he's never even met. And as he says, this isn't time to be in my head. If I'm taken out, Sukuna will slaughter Miwa and all the other remaining players. The kids fought with their lives on the line. What kind of adult would I be if I don't charge toward my death just the same? I just respect it. It is a simple and clean character archetype. But not only has it been built up well through Kusakabe's sparse appearances in the narrative, not only do I like Kusakabe's more intelligent and locked in and focused mindset, not only do I like the kind of techniques he's pulling out, how he's utilizing them, how he's expanding, if not reinforcing aspects of the domain system that we've had for a while now, but we haven't really dived into too deeply because of Mastery of Symbol Domain. Everything this chapter does for Kusakabe as a character makes me appreciate him all the more. From a character who I was like, he's neat enough. Not my thing, though, especially in a series like JJK, where I felt like I had seen Kusakabe's before. And I still think this is something I've seen before in the sense that adults are meant to take the responsibility of the children. Just the way that Kusakabe does it, and how he stands in such stark contrast to the other sorcerers. Whether it be Meimei, whether it be Nanami, whether it be Gojo, whether it be Yuki, whether it be even Yuta Okotsu, the way he stands different. A man who went through what he went through, who lost what he lost, understands what's still at stake to be lost, and instead of running away, instead of boarding that plane, instead of leaving everything behind and just going to live off the rest of his days hoping that Sukuna never leaves Japan, he's more than willing to throw himself into the face and into the jaws of death. Because he feels like that's his responsibility as an adult. In the end, even when his final attack is red, and he is stopped from doing something devious and dangerous to the King of Curses, he meets his end with a smile. Not despair, not regret, not nothing. Of course, he gets off-screen. Naturally. If Gojo Satoru would get off-screen, of course Kusakabe Atsuya was going to get off-screen. But he doesn't go out pitiful. He doesn't go out defeated mentally. He goes out with a smile. He goes out with the self-respect and the acknowledgement that he did his best. He laid it all on the table. He really left it all behind. There's no doubts about Kusakabe or his character. And despite how much he may have ran in the past from these very same elephants that were tap dancing on the ants that was the rest of the world, he was more than willing to face it in the end. And that, I just gotta put respect on him for, man. Like, legit, a crazy level switch up. In the live reaction, we can check it over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, or you can become a member to check out for as low as $3 a month. You can literally see me slowly but surely switching over from a Kusakabe indifferenter to a Kusakabe lover. Because this chapter just does such a good job characterizing him really, 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 really fast, reinforcing aspects of the narrative that have been hinted at, bringing up old plot points that have been mentioned before, and really building them into Kusakabe's character, and I love that. Once again, Sukuna is Sukuna. I just like the character now. Like, I'm not even gonna... there's nothing too deep about him. So his playful, more relaxed mindset against someone like Kusakabe, you know I gotta put respect on his name. I gotta put some glaze on. Because I love Sukuna. I hate to say I switched up. Happy to own this figure, but I'm out of time. Let's move on to scaling. Now, admittedly, in the spoiler discussions, I tried to downplay Kusakabe. I tried to knock him down. I tried to cope. I'll be completely honest. It was straight liquid, genuine copium. I can't even call it anything else. It was just straight up copium. But in terms of straight up copium, it was all slaughtered by the cleaner variation of this chapter. So the main thing that had me huffing copium was one of two things. Number one, Kusakabe himself admits he's abusing domain hacks. And what domain hacks do is they allow for instant sure hit attacks and any instant defense, because it's all instantaneous, it's all automatic. So I was trying to say, his reaction speed, his striking speed isn't really all that. Because he needs to use symbol domain. It means his regular stats aren't that like that without the buff or anything. So he's really not that guy. And I really tried to downplay this slashing feat, because at least in the rough scans to me, it didn't look like he actually did any damage, considering it seemed like it all went away immediately. But, as someone pointed out in the spoiler discussion, and I can see very clearly in the scans, Kusakabe did damage to Sukuna. Now, I know y'all are going to call me crazy, and feel free to correct me, but I'm going to glaze. I've turned from a Kusakabe denier to now a Kusakabe creamer. I think this unironically puts Kusakabe in top 10. In the entire series, by the way. Legitimately. Why? You may be wondering, whoa, pencil man. You were saying he wasn't in the top 25. Now you're saying he's arguably top 10? You may be able to make some meme arguments for top 5? Maybe you'll make some meme arguments that he's like a special grade sorcerer? Yeah. Because remember what Sukuna is. Insanely bulky. That's one of the main selling points of the character. The only character who should hypothetically be more bulky than Ryoma Sukuna is Ryuichi Shigori, because of the output statement and Sukuna's own statements in regards to Ryu's durability. But outside of that, Sukuna is the bulkiest character in the verse. He is. Even more bulky than Yuta, even more bulky than Yuji, even more bulky than insert character here, more bulky than Henry Restriction Use, more bulky than all that. So the fact that Kusakabe, with his domain technique, his symbol domain technique, is able to damage Sukuna, not just to the point where Sukuna's forced to heal, but this many times, he's able to actually draw juice. Think of every character less durable than Sukuna. Yeah. The rest of the verse. They lose. Like, tell me, what does Kashimo do? The only thing Kashimo could hypothetically do is, like, lightning bolt his blade, because that shouldn't miss. But, like, he may be sliced to pieces beforehand. Kashimo, while he's bulky, he ain't Sukuna bulky. He's taken crazy amounts of damage from this, and he's not healing from it. Especially base Kashimo. Worked! Yuta Okotsu, less bulky than Sukuna. Of course, Yuta would be able to RCT through this and bulk through it. So I think Yuta's fine. But still, crazy numbers. Yuta's going to take crazy numbers if Sukuna's taking these crazy numbers. For Itadori Yuji, same thing. Crazy numbers. A level of spiking that Kusakabe did in this alone. And here's the thing. I'm going to say it here. I'm going to make a whole separate video ranking everyone's performances so far. Obviously, I should probably just wait till the gauntlet's over, but who knows when the gauntlet's going to be over. But with that being the case, overall, Kusakabe has the third best performance against Sukuna. I'm just going to say it verbatim. Like, the only one you could hypothetically argue for is Kashimo, because Kashimo made Sukuna incarnate. But even then, once he incarnated, Kashimo never landed a clean hit. I want y'all to realize what I didn't realize, because I was missing pages in the spoiler discussion, and I was also trying to downplay Kusakabe for my agenda. I'll be completely honest. It was straight it was Agenda Kaisen at its purest in the spoiler discussion. Not only does he damage Sukuna with his domain axe, but he also duffs Sukuna, dead in the face, open palm smacks him and then punches him. Then he drop kicks Sukuna, not even drop kicks, inverse one kicks Sukuna through a whole building after he dodges one of Sukuna's slashes at point blank range, knocks Sukuna through buildings, and starts playing patty cake with him. Dog, he's him! What am I supposed to do? And here's the thing. The only way you could argue against this is say, well, maybe Sukuna's lowering his durability and he's not going all out. Yes, but I could say that for literally anybody. Sukuna's clearly not been going all out on anybody, whether it's Yuta or Yuji or Gojo or anybody. So I can't really downplay this. Kusakabe is just him. I'm not sure if Gege cares about the scaling implications of this, but this is whack. Arguably, depending on how bulky you think Yuki is or how unbulky he is, Kusakabe could beat Yuki. What's she supposed to do? She's not hitting him. If Kusakabe is able to point-blank dodge dismantles, hit Honor 1 poses while bare-handed, and he's able to damage Sukuna, Yuki's cooked. Easy. Suguru gets up, light war. That's the thing. And of course, I'm glazing a bit. I'll have to think about it more. But Kusakabe on a scaling level went absolutely insane this chapter. And one last light note for scaling. Miguel managed to somehow blitz past Sukuna's perception and grab Uyui. Well, I mean, not past his perception, but at least like dodged those mantles and grabbed Uyui with no problem. So, scaling this chapter, actually pretty crazy. Mainly for Kusakabe, and let's talk about the future. Now, once again, I do think we're still in the cyclic state, right? Where Miguel, he's going to get hyped up. He's already being hyped up at the end of this chapter. The man who went toe-to-toe with Satoru Gojo joins the battle. Well, not only was that a Gojo from a year ago, that was a Gojo pre-Prison Realm. Also, he had a weapon that allowed him to mess with Gojo a bit more, mess with Gojo's techniques a bit more. And thusly, I do find it a bit hard-pressed, or I'm hard-pressed to believe that Miguel will be able to cook up as well against Sukuna. Especially with it basically being hard confirmed that Sorcerers kind of do have soft stat caps, except for maybe their defensive abilities. So Miguel, who was well known for his bulk, should be able to do pretty decent things against Sukuna, and with the speed that he already displayed here, being able to react to snag Uyui from basically point-blank dismantles, and if you go with the idea that dismantles are all uniform in speed, that's a pretty impressive speed feat, but once again, we've seen Sukuna's able to blitz his own dismantles. We know Sukuna's not going to be beaten by Miguel. So I do think we're continuing the cycle. Now the question changes from, okay, not just who's next in the cycle, if we're pulling out Miguel, who knows who else will pull out, maybe Charles is going to show up and start working Sukuna. The question is, what is the wait times for characters to start respawning? We know Yuji never left the battlefield. He's still there, and presumably Choso's still there as well, helping Yuji heal and recover. It's been about 2 chapters. We had the entire Maki and Sukuna fight where they immediately changed scenery, and then we had the Kusakabe and Sukuna fight where they changed scenery again. So that's 2 chapters. Yuji's there. He was already ready to get back in. He was just healing up. So Yuji could be coming back. Maki launched into that entire building. Unfortunate. But not only did she block the hit somewhat, or at least catch the fist before she got onto the building, but she also has a healing factor of her own, and with Uyui still being around, I wouldn't be shocked if he just teleported her, took her back, Shoko, boom, brought her back. Maki, Miguel, and Yuji versus Sukuna. Once again, Sukuna should be able to handle it just fine. Sukuna is undeniably the strongest character in the verse right now, if not of all time, which he basically is. I'm sorry, Gojo fan. I'll make a whole more in-depth video about that another day. But the question is now, okay, we've run the cyclic cycles. What combinations are we getting? And who's coming back when? Obviously, a big question that's still up in the air, Hikari versus Urume. When is that ending, if ever? Is that just going to be a fugue fight that goes on in the background, or should we actually expect Hikari to show up and do something? I don't know. I'm leaning towards the latter, because I want to see Hikari versus Sukuna, and I think Hikari could be a fantastic stalling point. Another character who we're wondering about is Yuta. When is he going to come back? It's very clear that he's alive. Like, notably, with the confirmation that he took his domain down himself, the fact that Rika immediately grabbed him and held him together, the fact that Gojo Satoru showed signs of life after being sliced in half just so that no one was there to pick him up quickly enough, all that, Yuta is clearly alive. Is he going to come back? And 2, is he going to be able to use domain again? Because the domain situation was the best situation. That was the easiest situation we've had so far. It's why Yuta's easily number 2 in terms of performance against Sukuna. From the damage he did to the situation he put Sukuna in, all that goes immediately to Yuta Kotsu. So when is he coming back? When is he going to start facilitating? If he can start facilitating again. That's the question. And of course, the next natural question, merger. Is that still on the table with the rate that we're going through characters? Don't get me wrong, I love Miguel. I'm super excited to see Miguel come and cook. But after dropping Kusakabe and now bringing in Miguel, we're very quickly running out of fighters who could be viable not just for Sukuna, but also for the merger. So what is the dealio with that? Do I think the merger's happening anytime soon? Not necessarily. Once again, we still have characters who should be on the return cycle coming in, and we still have characters who have yet to show up. Who knows? Earl may show up and start cooking. If we really got Miguel, that has basically shot the door open for anybody to show up. And remember, there's still the likelihood of other calling game players. Completely unknown ones. If we're really reaching to the bottom of the bag and really trying to show how powerful Sukuna is over a long-term period, we can start pulling out randoms from completely different eras of history. We can start going crazy. And I think that's what we're leaning into. That's what has me excited for the future of JJK from the end of this chapter. With the reintroduction of Miguel, I feel like the door is truly open for anybody and everybody to come fight Sukuna. This does legit feel like the second Heian era, where everybody around will come to sharpen their skills and test their strength against the King of Curses. And for that, I have to admit, I'm very, very excited. However, with 25 seconds left on the clock, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave. I blanked completely. Leave Miguel's return in the comment section down below. As thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know what's out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks will include the 32-minute live reaction to this very chapter, along with ad-free variations of all my videos. And if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Now, I did thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is that guy with the pencil writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: O'Connor Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, Teen Midgao, Querencia Tala, and Red Wolf 4765. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Panda Goat, Midnight Lord 21, Marcus, Kevin, Igneal, and Ehak1. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 members: Autumn's Mornings Lazo and Sick Addiction. And I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $10 member, Banana Phone. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our $10 patrons: Joaquin, Jermaine, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, China Doll 09. And another gargantuan, juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.